I'm Clea Waite, and I'm an artist living in Colorado in the United States and also in Berlin, Germany. My practice is centered on the moving image, on both digital animation and on natural photography. And before becoming a filmmaker, I was trained as a scientist and an engineer. My works engage the audience in embodied perception through sensual interfaces, active participation, and multisensory perception. And to do this, I use embodied immersion and sensual interfaces and an active participation by the audience in the decoding and structuring of a poetic narrative. I see my cinematic works as poems. The poetic language that I use is often based on scientific constructs and data, and I see this as a poetic language in that it's metaphoric and open to interpretation and a very condensed way of communicating. So I use this scientific language as a visual language. In my works, I explore fundamental themes from various disciplines and points of view. I've explored space exploration and all the meanings that we attribute to our moon. I've looked at cycles of destruction and renewal, focusing on the scientific discoveries and inventions of the 20th century. With my most recent project, I'm looking at environmental issues around the Earth's systems of oceans, in particular with ice time at polar ice. With ice time, I've created a portrait of ice that ranges from individual crystals up to glaciers and even ice shelves. The melting of the ice at both poles is one of the most dramatic and visible effects of climate change, yet it is very abstract and remote. So with ice time, I'm trying to take this really hard to relate to information that we have about the effects of climate change on ice and bring the ice into a more personal relationship with the viewer so that they have a aesthetic and innate understanding of what they're getting from the news and from different information sources about what's happening in the Arctic and in Antarctica. You know, just like we take delight in charismatic megafauna like polar bears and tigers and bears and whales and elephants, because we love these animals, we care about preserving their natural environments. So by bringing the audience into a aesthetic relationship with ice, I hope that they will also have an engagement and a will to preserve the ice environment for us and for future generations. So with ice time, I wanted to bring my audience close to the ice. We were on the ice while we were filming in Greenland. We were standing on the ice sheet. We were sailing and canoeing between the icebergs. So using macro photography and eye-level photography and contact audio recordings, the idea is to bring the audience into the direct proximity of the ice. So if you think about it, most of the moving images you see of icebergs are taken from the air, so from drones or from helicopters. And what we did was get really on eye level, one-on-one, in conversation with the icebergs for ice time. Ice exists in time scales that are outside human perception and comprehension. Ice flows and moves and changes in glacial time, in geological time, and this is way beyond what we as humans are able to comprehend. So by using time-lapse photography, I'm using the ability of cinema to bring the observer into the time frame of the ice, to be able to see it moving and breathing and living in its natural environment. And then I revert the time frame back to the human time frame so that we can bring this understanding back with us, that even though we can't see what's happening, the ice really is very active in the Arctic. The ice time installation architecture is constructed in the form of a hexagon The hexagon is the form that water ice crystals take at the molecular level, and it is also a form of three-dimensional shadows from tesseracts, 4D hypercubes, as they pass through our three-dimensional space. I'm interested in tesseracts because they contain both space and time. Glaciers are crystal tesseracts. They contain the time axis of Earth's climatological history embedded within the ice. So a dimension of time is literally embedded in the space of the glacier. The project Icetime clearly speaks to the ICEA themes of ecosophic ecological entanglement as well as the interactions of the planetary. I love this year's topic of sentience for ICEA. Sentience is the ability to perceive and feel matter, and I'm really interested in creating a cinema that is an embodied experience, that is felt and understood by the whole body, because the body is how we have a world.